players out injured. So take with that what you will, but I'm still hyped about Enzo Fernandez. I've been watching his intro video like all day today, and yeah, I'm very excited about what Chelsea have done in this window.
Well, I think I just realised that our microphones weren't on there. So literally my bit was just saying welcome back to everyone. It's been a little while. I'm not really sure what happened to the sound there, but yeah, we weren't on, but we are now. And yes, Ellie was just saying about Chelsea buying everyone. I think we got the end of you there, Ellie. So
Share your excitement. I think you're going to have to share your excitement all over again.
yeah, do it. Why not?
Okay, I am very excited about all of the players that Chelsea have signed. Of course, been watching the Enzo Fernandez video on repeat, and super excited about him. Obviously, we play Fulham tomorrow in the league, and yeah, I think that we have had a complete squad overhaul. Could have taken a lot longer, but they got it done in a January transfer window, which is absolutely insane. And I'm just buzzing to see how these new players kind of start gelling together and playing, because I think that they have all shown like really good glimpses from what we've seen. So high hopes.
Yes, a very, very exciting time as a Chelsea fan, for sure. It's always nice. I think you get that buzz. I remember that buzz when we bought Aubameyang at Arsenal. It was like really exciting, and it was kind of came down to the last minute to get him signed over the line and stuff. And it, when you get these big names, it's really quite, it's really quite nice. Mez, I know you had a busy Christmas moving house. How is life? Are you excited for the next game week?
I am. Yeah, I did. I moved from Canberra and over back to Sydney, and it's been amazing actually. So it's very hot, it's very humid. I've traded up the Canberra sort of mountains for the Sydney beaches, and yeah, it's absolutely stunning. So it's nice to be back over here. I do miss Canberra, so massive shout out to the Canberra crew. If they're listening to this later, I know they're huge fans as well. So yeah, no, look, it's been hectic. So I've really appreciated the break as well, especially over this past week and a bit. It's been really nice to just think things through. But yeah, no, I'm definitely sort of excited about the next game week, because my last game week I decided I dared, and yeah, I think we're gonna go there a bit later, I'm sure. But yeah, it wasn't a great game week, but yeah, on to the next one.
On to the next ones. All you can do after a red arrow is move on swiftly. And with that, that's exactly what we'll do with the stream. And we'll move on to our first segment, which is the hot topics of the week. And there have been plenty of them over this break. So I think one of the hot topics is the surprise of the selling of Cancelo and Doherty, or at least on loan, in the final day of the transfer window. So what was your thoughts on that, Mez?
Oh, look, because it's my second season, I didn't realize how much of a soft spot you can have for a couple of players here and there. So I
Yeah.
think Cancelo was that player last season where you just couldn't afford to not have him in your team, right? So
Yeah.
time round, I was really touch and go last season with removing Cancelo. I cancelled Cancelo for like 2 game weeks, and I was frightened for those. And it was the same with like this season as well. I sort of removed him. I think once Pep sort of dropped him, or something had happened there, obviously, and we now know what was going on probably behind the scenes there. So yeah, I'm a little bit sort of sad about it actually, because he was always like the staple defender that you bring into your team. I'm sure everyone started the season with Cancelo in the team, so I'm a little bit gutted about him not being in the league at all anymore. So yeah, it's a weird feeling. It's as a Liverpool supporter, it's definitely a weird feeling.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, because I'm obviously an Arsenal fan, but I have had that soft spot for Cancelo for some time now, and I think it's always been nice to have that kind of alternative in the premium bracket to, say, a Liverpool premium, which we've had in previous seasons. So it does feel very strange. I did get off of him a week or two ago for Aki, and that felt weird enough as it was, knowing he was still in the Premier League and I wasn't going to own him. So that was odd in itself. But to think that I can't now choose him again, at least this season, is very strange. Ellie, what's your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, it's a weird one. And like Mira was saying, he was a mainstay in my team all of last season. This season, up until a few weeks ago, he was one of the first names in my team as well. And I did end up transferring him out because City hadn't been keeping clean sheets. And I said, okay, it's a lot of money. I'm just going to invest it elsewhere. But it's the type of player that, once you see City maybe getting back to clean sheets, and I would have brought him back. And I was surprised that it all happened so fast. Like, I honestly didn't see it coming. It was a couple of games that he didn't have as many minutes as maybe I would have expected, but I didn't, at least from as a Chelsea fan, maybe a little bit further out from that perspective, I didn't look so much into it. And then when it was tweeted, I was like, what is going on? What happened here?
Yeah.
So it's definitely surprising for me.
Yeah, and I remember a couple of seasons ago having Doherty in my team and just loving life every time he got, some sort of an attack in return. So very shocked to see Spurs selling him, especially seeing as he has started the last few games. It's not like he has continued to stay on the bench. Obviously, they had the Porro thing kind of lined up, I'm assuming, but yeah, it's just still a bit of a bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, lots of people are talking about how like Doherty's doing the career pathway of Trippier at the moment, which is hilarious, and so we might see back. Who knows? Let's see.
Yes, very true. Very true. Didn't think about that. The next thing, I guess, is, are any of us considering any of the new signings for our FPL teams straight away? So, Ellie, as you've said, Chelsea have got some stunners in this window. Are you just diving straight in?
Well, even though I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm holding off for now. The reason being is that Chelsea have struggled to score goals up until this point in the season. Like, we really haven't been scoring so much. Graham Potter has tinkered a lot with the team. You have a pretty bloated squad at the moment, even with a lot of players out injured, especially in those attacking positions. You do have a lot of players, and I'm a little bit hesitant about how long it's going to take the team to gel together, because you have a ton of new players that are joining. And so I would be shocked if they just magically hit it off straight away. I think that
Yeah.
it takes some time to gel and gain chemistry, and for, specific passes or understanding each other comes off. So right now I'm holding off. I'm very excited about the prospect of Mudryk. I thought that his little cameo against Liverpool was
It's
phenomenal.
exciting, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very exciting.
It was at that point that I was like, Arsenal, what have you done? Like, literally, I saw that 20 minutes and I was like, oh, we could have had him, and it was that realization that we may have missed something here. I think before that it was kind of, oh well, we don't want to, we don't want to get walked all over. Like, if we pay 100 million here, then we know, every other club's just going to take the mick with us. We need to set a precedent, all this sort of stuff. And then I seen him in that 20 minutes for Chelsea and I was like, oh, we should have just paid it. Literally.
So I think he's the one that I kind of have my eye on. I historically bring Chelsea players into my team and then they don't play, so I'm staying away, guys. Chelsea fans,
buy them all.
Well, I have Peppa in my team, but he's been doing good. So
he has, yes.
You
haven't broken him. That's fine.
Yeah, I haven't broken Peppa, but yeah.
I feel like there's a curse of the red card as well. Like, so you don't want to bring them in just in case, right? Because that happened to Darwin, and obviously it happened more recently with Chelsea. So yeah, it's one of those. Let's not sort of red card. Let's not bring that player in just in case they get a red card straight away as well.
Mez, has anyone in the transfer window caught your eye? Not just from Chelsea, but from any of the clubs?
Oh, look, from my personal perspective, as a Liverpool supporter, I've been watching the drama unfold between Chelsea and Arsenal in general, and just kind of grabbing my popcorn and just watching this entertainment, crying at the same time
Oh.
because we didn't really have much at all going on, or
When you
nothing at
bought
all.
Gakpo, though, I was so jealous. I was like, "Oh my god, he's an amazing player!" Like, I got so into him at the World Cup. Like, it helps that he's lovely to
Yeah,
look at too.
no,
But but I was like, "Oh yes, I'm so excited to see him in the Premier League." And then, yeah, it hasn't really come off, which is what I'm hoping all of the Chelsea players are end up like. But
No,
I'm sure that won't be the case.
absolutely. I'll look. I'm not sure if I'm like in particular excited about anyone. I think Enzo is a really good sort of move. I think that was a huge achievement by Chelsea. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how
5
that's sort of.
million in FPL as well is really cheap. Okay, granted,
Yeah.
I have a feeling I don't know whether Ellie's the same, whether he'll play a little more kind of central mid holding rather than attacking. But still, if he gets a few returns like Casemiro, then that's a nice price point, definitely.
How do you feel about Trossard, by the way, shifting?
Yeah, good old Trollard. He's not been my favourite as an FPL asset, given I think I held him for something like 12 game weeks last season and got 1 assist out of him. So yeah, I have scarred memory of him in that respect. But in terms of for Arsenal, I'm hoping, I think it's a good move. He is proven, he's Premier League proven, he is very attacking. He knows where the goal is. He does know where to find it. Apparently, when I don't own him. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to have him. He's still young, and there's still a lot of development. At this point, I'm just trusting Arteta because so far he hasn't done a whole lot wrong. So in respects of Jorginho and Trossard, I'm just kind of hoping there's a process there that Arteta has in mind, and I'm just gonna say, you go, guy, you go. Enjoy yourself.
I think what's on everyone's mind as well is that is Saka going to lose penalties?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay.
No. Like, literally, I feel like the players that have come in to bolster what we already have. I don't think there'll be any. It's like people saying, "Oh, that's Martinelli out the door now." No. And literally, Arteta has his starting 11, and these players will be backup for that starting 11. He's literally just ticking cards at this point. Like, we want backup for that position, and I don't think Saka's in any kind of. I think it'll be a case like Europa League, 60 minutes Saka's come off because he needs resting, and Jorginho's on the pitch. We get a penalty, he takes it. That's kind of the vibe. He's a brilliant pen taker, and it's really helpful to have him. And Saka may, give it over to kind of say, yeah, welcome to the team or whatever. But I don't think it'll be a regular thing. I don't know if Ellie agrees there, but I would assume Saka is going to stay where he is on those.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because Jorginho obviously at Chelsea was
the main pen taker,
the penalty taker.
Yeah.
And gave me many heart attacks with like skip jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he is. I think it's good to, like, if for whatever reason Saka isn't on the page, Jorginho's on the page, you have Jorginho who can take the penalty. But I don't think that it's going to be the type of thing where, he's going to take it away from Saka. And we've seen at Chelsea, like, even with Jorginho on the pitch, sometimes Kai Havertz has taken penalties as well. And I don't think he's that kind of player. Like, it's not like he does it for goals. He does it because he's good at it, and he's very good under pressure.
Agreed. Okay, so the last thing, just to kind of wrap up in this little segment, is the triple captainship. So I know a lot of people are considering it this week around an United player in the double if they didn't use it last week on City. So Mez, did you use it last week? And if you did or didn't, are you considering it this week?
No, I haven't used it. And it's really over the last couple of days I've started doing a bit of investigating or research around During meetings, I've been sort of researching players,
During meetings.
yeah,
Really concentrating on work
yeah,
there.
priorities. Yeah, look, I haven't used it yet, and I did have a little bit of FOMO when everyone was triple captaining Haaland when they did.
Mm,
But I feel like I probably will this time. So I'm kind of deliberating between Rashford and Bruno.
okay.
If I bring in Bruno, and I think we're going to get to that bit anyway. But yeah, maybe I'm probably like 90% there.
Ellie, what about yourself?
I haven't yet. I haven't used it. I have been thinking about using it this week as well. I honestly feel weird not using it on Holland.
Mm,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm always just like, it's a risk. You just never know what's going to happen. I've had one year where it didn't pay off at all, and the other year Salah scored like 3 or 4 goals, and it was fantastic. So I'm 50-50. I haven't
yeah.
decided yet. If I
Same. I think it'll
Yeah.
be a gut feeling tomorrow for me. Like literally as the deadline's approaching, it'll be a gut feel because I think with the triple captainship it's something you have to have a bit of a kind of, ooh, now feels like the right time. I remember about 4 maybe seasons ago when Aguero is at his highest. I didn't use the chip all season, and I went to the content creator awards at the Etihad Stadium the weekend before the final weekend of the season. I put the triple captain chip on Aguero, just like feeling it from being there and loving Aguero and everything, and he repaid me happily with a couple of goals. So
It's the
yeah,
weighing up. It's the weighing up part, isn't it? Because like United's got 2 home fixtures. They're fairly sort of easy-ish. You could sort of it'd be categorized as a green fixture on the fixture ticker. So it just makes sense from that point of view. But then we saw what Haaland did last game week
yeah,
as well with his hat trick.
can literally
So
score against anyone at any time and as many goals as he feels like it, that can't he really? So yeah, he's a scary person. But yeah, it does feel strange. I know what you're saying, Ellie. It does feel strange that for almost most of the season, we've all been saying we'll put our triple captainship on Haaland, and then here we are potentially putting it on Rashford. So it's quite interesting. Okay,
mm,
cool. Let's move on to our collective differential. So we have brought you one player under 10% owned for the next game week. We've done it this way just for 1 week on the account of all the doubles and the blanks coming up, but obviously we can move back to 3 game weeks if you guys would like, but also Bruno is a great choice, as you can see, for the next 3 game weeks anyway. So it's not like, he's just a 1 week punt, but he has been all over Twitter as an option, and yet he is just 9.3% owned, which really shocked us, I think, didn't it, ladies, when we were looking for this this 1 week punt. So Ellie, your thoughts on Bruno? Are you considering him?
Yeah, I actually my transfer for this game week was to go from KDB to Bruno. I've always kind of had like a love-hate relationship with KDB, and I just feel like for the amount of assists that he's been getting, it felt a little bit overpriced for me. And Bruno has a goal contribution in each of his last 5 games. He's been arguably one of, if not United's best players post the World Cup as well. So I brought him in especially for the double game week, and I do think that he can be one of those longer term assets. But are you guys thinking about bringing him in as well?
Mez, I'll push this over to you because I know that you are.
yeah, I am. Yeah, definitely. I think I still have Salah in my team, and so for me,
Wow.
not the hard decision of going. I know a lot of people are going from KDB to Bruno, or they may have like I think I saw someone has Sterling still in their team as well.
Wow,
So
really?
yeah. So they're obviously going from either the route of Salah to Bruno or KDB to Bruno. So for me, I don't know. I never thought I'd say this, that I'm actually quite happy about taking out Salah and watch how he's going to haul on the weekend. Yeah, I'm
It'll come
definitely
back to
considering.
life at some point and annoy all of us.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I'm definitely considering him. I think it was between sort of Casemiro and Bruno. And I think, I mean, Casemiro's just seems to be on form as well, right? But
Mhm.
I think you'd probably want to bench Casemiro just because of the price and just, the FPL returns as well can be a little bit too far removed as well from the reality. And so, yeah, so I think Bruno's definitely going to be in my team this time around.
Yeah, I
Sad that it's
mean,
still Salah.
yeah. Oh, I feel sad for you because I was sad when I sold Salah too. And they may have a double coming up against Wolves soon, so we may all be running back to Liverpool very soon. I am also considering Bruno. You will not be shocked to hear 4 goals, 5 assists. He's looking great of late. I have a bit of a headache, which I would discuss when we bring up my teams on how I'm going to do it, because I have lots of ways to be able to do it. But is he a differential triple captain, do we think? Would any of you consider putting the triple captain on Bruno instead of Rashford? Who wants to take that one?
I think if I used my triple captain, I think I would probably lean more towards Rashford. Honestly, it's just a gut feeling though, because they're both in really good form. I think Rashford maybe has been scoring more goals and Bruno's getting more assists. Maybe that's the only little differentiator for me. But yeah, I don't know. Des, what do you think?
No, I don't think I will. I think given that everyone is already leaning towards Rashford and they're probably going to captain him anyway,
Mm,
I think they're betting against like all the people that are just captaining, and so
yeah.
yeah, probably not a good idea.
I
Personally,
think if
I
you're like really far behind, like in the millions now, we're talking maybe
yeah,
3 or 4 million, and you just
you're living a
fancy a
fool
bit
in
of a
that
punt.
space.
Yeah, I think at that point you have license to go a Bruno
Yeah.
instead
If
if you
I
like.
was if I was captaining between them, then I would probably lean towards Bruno just to kind of, change it up a little bit. But for triple captain, I'd probably de-risk it a little bit more and go with Rashford.
Yeah, because Bruno is on penalties again now, right? So Rashford isn't on the penalties, I don't believe. So there's also something to maybe consider there as well. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the goals and gossip. And in this segment, we take a look at the team of the week, and we're going to discuss who is goals, as in the one player we want in our team, and who is gossip. We should stay away and never go anywhere near them. So, Ellie, of the goals or gossip, the team of the week, who is your goals from this?
For me, I pick Saka as goals. I'm honestly trying to find a way to get him into my team, and I just haven't been able to without doing like a straight swap for Martinelli, and that feels like a transfer that I just don't have.
Very
I don't
luxury.
have the luxury of making at the moment.
Mm.
But he has 3 goals, 1 assist in his last 5 games, and I think that he's constantly getting into dangerous positions for Arsenal as well. And he's been really consistent. So for me, he's somebody that I really want to try to get in, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah. What about you, Mira? Who's standing out for
Goals.
you? Yep,
Uh,
goals.
goals. Well, I reckon.
Can I just say I'm surprised that Ellie didn't say one of the Brighton lads, because I feel like she chooses a Brighton lad every week.
You know what? Estupinian is
I
driving
thought you
me
might say
crazy
that.
because I brought him in my team and now he's killing it. He's getting assists left, right, and center. And I said it on here. I said, watch Estupinian. And I was right, but too late.
And I still didn't bring him into my team.
No.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm actually going to say Matoma. So look, Matoma's been a little bit on, well, a little bit. He's been on fire, I think. I don't know if that's because of Trossard's move, but I really admire how he's been playing, and also you know, I hear he did like his thesis or something in, you know, dribbling, the art of dribbling or something like that. How awesome is that, right? Like he's
Wow.
really, you know, the brains behind the balls, and just
Love that.
pretty awesome, pretty awesome that
That's
he's
pretty.
yeah he's converting that. But yeah, he just seems to be on it at the moment, and I think he's on a good sort of like, you know, streak of good runs, and we're seeing that from a couple of players this season, right? Like with Almiron and, you know, other, well, although Almiron's a different story now, but yeah, Mitoma's really hitting that stride.
Yeah. I mean, goals for me, as soon as you guys taken the obvious, I mean, maybe Nketiah. I know a lot of people are considering him as a Mitrovic replacement or a Martial replacement this week. Look, my slight concern is that Jesus is back on grass. He is training now. There may be he's maybe a little more ahead of schedule than we thought. So if you're looking for a player potentially for several game weeks from Arsenal, then it's tough to say go with Nketiah because he'll definitely keep his spot for several weeks. But if you're okay with knowing that you may get 2 or 3 really good game weeks out of him, and then things may start to peter off because look, Jesus isn't going to get dropped back in. You know, he will be phased in. So if you're okay with that, then Nketiah. But what about gossip? Who do we just stay away from in this team? Mez, I'll let you go first.
Zuma.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you.
No, I'm only kidding. I think that's a really obvious one there. But Bowen is someone that sort of, you know, stood out for me. Like I was quite surprised that he just sprung to life all of a sudden.
Yeah, just a brace
And
out of nowhere.
yeah, like newfound sort of, you know, love to score goals and get assists and things. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I haven't actually looked at the fixture ticker for West Ham, and you know, to see what their fixtures look like, but I'd probably stay away from that one.
Yeah, and the fact that nobody's really talking about them probably says that we shouldn't really be bothering. But what do we think of maybe Ailing, seeing as Leeds have the double coming up? Ellie, would he be a goals or a gossip for you?
For me, I think it's a gossip because they've only kept 2 clean sheets in
Yeah.
the entire season. So I would be hesitant to bring in Leeds defender. But I will say I love the signing of Weston McKennie to Leeds, and
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
super excited to see how he could potentially impact and transform that team, because I watch him extensively for the US men's national team, and he's a fantastic
He's the one
player.
with all like the colours in his hair,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. He
he's
was
a
great at the
really
World
big
Cup.
personality as well. Like he really is such a leader. So I think that he could have the potential to transform this Leeds side. He's not a goal scorer really, so I wouldn't really go for him for fantasy, but potentially we could see another Leeds asset maybe in attack.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, that's I remember him. He was like really interesting in the World Cup. So, you know, quite interested to see how he will help that lead side for sure. Cool. Okay, well, let's move on to our 1 week punt game. And these are our choices this week, and we've each chosen a punty player under 10% owned for just 1 game week only, which works out quite well this week, and because it's a double. So as you can see, mostly we've gone for doubles, except for Ellie, who is of course gone for a Brighton play. I remember asking you if we had a points tally. Did we?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I haven't done the points for the entire thing. I just did it for the last week.
Okay.
I should sum it up. I've just thought about that. I did it for the last time that we played, and I was very excited because I finally got some points on the board.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, so that's why you only kept it to last game week.
sorry, that was my bad. I misunderstood the assignment.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So the last week when we were all the way back in November, Nim, your choice was Ramsey. He didn't get anything, no clean sheet, no assist. I had picked Harvey Barnes, so he was 5 points because he scored a goal. So I was very happy.
Nice.
Mirchios Kulisevsky, he had an assist, so she's at 3 points. Holly had chosen Solanke. He had an assist as well, so he got 3 points. And then Andy Robertson was our overall, and he actually got 2 assists, no clean sheet though, so he was on 6 points. Yeah, so
Okay.
I don't have the overall.
Okay, don't worry. We can get that ready for next week. All good. But guys, do let us know in the chat some names for your 1 week punt. Has to be under 10% owned. Whoever has the most names in the chat, we will put it to a poll, and then where we don't have a guest, we throw it over to the chat, and the guest is basically their combined points up against us each week. So make sure you get some names in the chat. 1 week punt, anybody you like, and the more names there is, the most of them, we will make sure that's the person. So do get that into the chat. Okay, whilst we are doing that in the chat, we will go talk through ours. So Mez, you're always pretty good at this, as we've seen. You do well at this game. So who have you gone for this game week?
I'm sorry, I was just looking at the numbers again. I'm surprised Matoma is as high as like he's already been like snapped up by so many.
I know.
Look, I've gone with Nyonto, and I really hope I'm saying that right, but I think it's Nyonto. So I've gone with Nyonto this time, and I've just seen that Rodrigo's out for a couple of weeks, like a
Yeah.
month or so. So
You were
all the
gonna go for him, weren't you? So it's a good job
I
you
was going to
didn't.
go for so I'm actually on the edge of so I've got Martial, and I'm swapping out Martial for either an Nketiah or a Gnonto, and Gnonto's looking really, really good. I think, like, again, similar to Matoma, where he could be on a really nice streak of sort of just playing well, getting these assists or goals, or you can see him like just gelling with the team as well. Like, he's really sort of sparked, and he seems like a really sort of bright young player as well. So there's a lot of motivation and enthusiasm as well. His stats against Rodrigo weren't that great. So, it's nice. Well, I say nice that Rodrigo's out, because it really does give Nyonto a bit more opportunity as well. So I think, yeah, look, he's looking pretty good, for the next sort of couple of fixtures. I know he's got a slightly tougher one in the second one, but I think his next 4 sort of predicted points was something like 11 or 12 points, which isn't too bad if you wanted a cheaper, because he's only 5 mil. So definitely worth it if you're downgrading from like a Mitro, and you don't mind putting someone on the bench, in other game weeks, if you want to spread the funds to like the midfield or something. But yeah, I've got a good feeling about Nyonto.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll chat a little bit about him myself in just a moment, but I've had a bit of fun with my punt this week, and I've gone with Casemiro. He's just 3% owned, and even better still, he's just 4.9 million, so super cheap. He had 2 goals and 3 assists. One of those goals and 2 of those assists coming in the last 6 game weeks, and of course he got that brace as well in the cup. He's definitely a punt though. If you couldn't get to Bruno and you really wanted another United midfielder, he would be a fun alternative. Though I'm not suggesting he is a better option, but he could grab a little something for sure. Ellie, would you like to tell us about Matoma?
Sure. So yeah, I honestly didn't take the doubles into consideration when playing this game. And I already have Bruno, and that was our collective choice. And I just always go for something crazy.
Hey,
So
look, how many times has a single game week player outscored a double game week player in FPL? Quite a lot. So you could just be onto something here.
it's true. And I tell you, I'm so upset because I was between Matomo and Marsh. to bring into my team, and I picked Marsh, and he's done nothing, and Matoma has kept scoring. He has a goal contribution in 4 out of his last 5 games. He's just recently scored a very, very beautiful goal. And honestly, it just looks like his shooting boots are on, and Brighton are scoring a lot of goals at the moment. So I went for him. He just looks to be in form. So I tend to kind of go for form over fixtures. So I went for him. I'm kind of upset that I made the wrong choice. Martin.
Well, you knew it was going to go either way. Like, if you went with the other one, then it would have gone the other way. It's always the way, isn't it? We have some shout outs in the chat. We have Anthony. Quinton has said thoughts on Mudryk. I mean, we did have a little chat about him earlier, but I guess he could be a good punt this week. Estupinan, Willock, Mares, Casemiro says Agedi is a great shout. Okay, guys, the next 2 names that come up in the chat that have already been mentioned before, we will put to a poll, and then out of those 2 we will choose who you guys are going to put up against us this week, and they'll be going up against Casemiro, Mitoma and Gnonto. So yeah, do make sure you get your 1 week punt in the chat for us. And with that, if you are new to the channel, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure you check out the ladies. Their channels and their social medias are in the link below. Okay, let's lastly move on to our team chat and Q&As. So also, if you have any questions, guys, get them in the chat, and we will go. I think I've got myself set up first. I mean, you guys can check out what I've been thinking about in most of my videos this week, of which there have been a fair few on this channel, so you can go check them out. But yeah, this is my team, my best team currently, and I am considering Bruno in, obviously, and I have a couple of options. It really just depends on whether or not I want to get Nketiah or whether I want to go for, say, a Saka a bit further down the line. So I have 2 free transfers. At the moment, the very easy, simple thing would be Mitrovic to Gnonto, as Mez has lined me up nicely there, and she's pretty good at punts. So 5 million gives me a fair amount. It would allow me to do Almiron to Bruno very easily, and would also allow me to keep De Bruyne in the team. My other thing is, though, that I am a little bit like Mahrez is matching De Bruyne recently for a lot less money. So there's a little bit of me that thinks, do I take this opportunity now to shift De Bruyne on and get Mahrez and have that money there waiting in the bank to upgrade, say, an Andreas to an Odegaard or a Saka for next game week, where I will then be benching Gnonto. Or my other option is to do just that, De Bruyne to Mahrez, Almiron to Bruno, and Mitrovic to Nketiah, which would then make, obviously, going for another Arsenal midfielder a lot tougher next week. I would have Martinelli, but I also would have a fair amount of money in the bank, of which I could consider upgrading him to Saka if I wanted to have Nketiah, Saka and White. So a little bit to think about there with my team. I will, of course, keep all of you guys updated on what I am choosing to do on my social media. But I will pass you on to Ellie to talk about hers while I put up the poll for you guys.
Yeah, so I actually have been doing a lot better in recent weeks than I had been. With the double Newcastle defense, they have the best defense in the league, so it's a little bit of a riskier strategy, but it's been paying off for me. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream, my transfer that I was quite sure that I was going to do was KDB to Bruno. So this is my team now, and I think, we'll obviously get into it in the upcoming weeks, but I am going to have so many players blanking in game week 25. With Man United, I have the triple up, Newcastle, and Brighton. And so I'm kind of struggling with what do I do in the next couple of weeks to help with that, because yeah, I'm going to definitely have to do something. I already stupidly used my free hit back in the day in game week 12 when I didn't have that many players either, and I used it, so I don't have that available. That's kind of what's running through my mind. I want to potentially bring in Harry Kane. I was also thinking about Saka. I was thinking about getting rid of the Newcastle double up, even though I really like it. That could be something for game week 25. So that's kind of where I'm at.
See, I would be more tempted with yourself to keep the Newcastle double up and maybe move on Shaw, believe it or not, the closer we get to 25, because United's fixtures kind of wane off, whereas Newcastle will have the double after 25, and they have some nice fixtures around it as well. So I think, like, once this little period of United is over and they have the next two really nice games like next, I think moving off of, say, a Bruno and a Shaw could be done, and then you could always hop back on again, when their blank is over with if you wanted. But it's just because of how good Newcastle is in defense as well. And you've had Botman a couple of weeks now, so you've probably got a little bit of money in him. So
yeah, I think that's a difficulty, isn't it? Because if anyone else like bought Shaw when he was super cheap, you've got a lot of money tied up there as well.
yeah.
And so that's the only downside. So at that point, you're sort of wondering, it's not his most up-to-date price tag, it's the price tag that you paid, and so is it worth just benching him because you've got money, there? It's a really hard one. I wish I'd gone double Newcastle at some point,
Yeah, same.
but now I'm sort of hesitant to go there because of the upcoming fight.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would be on it this week. In fact, I have even considered the minus, like, a hit for it. But it's the fact that I would then be benching White against Everton, which kind of puts me off it, not necessarily getting them now with worrying about the blank, if that makes sense. So it's the fact that I'll be playing Shaw, Trippier and White, and I don't really see who I spend a -4 for Botman just to potentially leave him on the bench this week. It doesn't feel right, but if it feels right next week to do it, I'm not going to not do it because of the blank, I think, because I think that game week 28 can be got around, if you see what I mean, with other transfers and things. And as I say, I feel like it might come a point where potentially we can start saying goodbye to some of our United assets, and at that point in the game as well, we'll be not worrying so much about how much we've built up in players, I think, because to be honest, it will be, we'll be getting quite close to the end of the season, and that's the time to kind of cash in on them. But I do hear what you're saying, Mira. It's always tougher. It's the reason why we haven't got them yet, right? So
Yeah,
it's always difficult.
Yeah, and form as well. Like, if they're on good form, at what point do you sort of go, okay, well, they're actually a little bit more fixture proof now, and because they're on this amazing form and this streak of good, like Rashford's having, one of the best seasons he's ever had, right? So
Yeah.
at what point do you sort of go, oh yeah, the fixtures are a bit too tough, and therefore I'm gonna jump off of this player? It's a really hard one.
Yeah.
It's something I'm grappling with for sure.
Can I just say though, Ellie, this is a great team.
It
Like,
is.
literally, aside from an absence of maybe Kane, of which I know a lot of people are selling this week anyway in order to fund Bruno, I think it just looks insane. And I know we joke with you a lot about you, like, buying players and them not doing well. Honestly, if you don't do well in the next few weeks with this team, then yeah, the template is dead.
Oh, yeah.
Mira.
Actually, a tough
I
season for me, so that's really nice.
Oh.
was going to say, I actually love that you got March in the team.
Yeah. I love
Got
that
your
he's in
one
the middle
Brighton
as well.
player.
You're
Yeah.
one Brighton one Brighton player is like right there in the middle.
Yeah.
I think secretly you're just really a Brighton fan at heart. You're not a Chelsea fan at all.
It's funny because I was liking like all of the Leeds things. I was like, people are gonna think I'm a Leeds fan because of all the Western we're getting from.
I got the same sass when I said Chelsea made good signings. Everyone was like, "You can't say that as an Arsenal fan." I'm like, well, "They have."
Yeah,
So-
I had the same, like chatting to friends about it as well. I was like complimenting what everyone else had done, and I was like, well, "What do you want me to say? I'm a Liverpool fan."
Exactly. Wow. Okay. Anthony was way out in the lead, but with like 70 something %. But Fred is pulling it back. So we've got 42% for Fred, 42% for Anthony, and 15% for Willock. So it's very close at the moment. Okay, Mira, would you like to talk us through your team and what transfers you're
Yeah,
thinking of me?
So by the way, last week I captained Kane. I swam against the current and got swept under. But
Oh, and for anyone, obviously, Haaland got his hat trick. So, yeah, I
exactly.
was feeling for Mez completely when that happened.
It
Yeah,
happens
you know what?
any other week. Like Haaland could blank and Harry Kane scores a brace. So you're just
Exactly.
taking out.
It was
It's the
a
fact that we say Harry Kane scores a brace and not he scores a hat trick when we
I
speak in the
had to-
same sentence of Haaland in a hat trick.
it was a semi-calculated risk that I was willing to take, and yeah, look, I was happy taking it. I was actually in between sort of a break at watching Harry Potter in the theatre in Melbourne, and so I wasn't too bothered about the decision making part of it. It was sort of, yeah, no, this kind of feels right. I'm just going to do it and then carry on, at the theatre. It did hurt a little bit, it stung a little bit, but yeah, look, I made that decision, moved on from it, but it was fun. Can I
Mm-hmm.
just say it was fun actually putting on the captaincy on
Somebody
another
different.
player. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're probably about to do the same. So look, my team, I've still got Salah. I'm pretty sure like everyone that I've mentioned that I've got Salah, they're sort of like, really, what's going on there? I've also got Martial, and the match yesterday, or the last match, I don't know when that is for everyone now. But the match really did have me on, like, yeah, I couldn't decide between sort of keeping Martial or getting rid of him still. But given that he's fit-ish or looks fit to play, and he's probably going to be sharing his minutes with Weghorst as well, I feel like I'm going to move him on anyway. So it's currently looking like Nketiah or Gnonto, and Salah's probably going to become Bruno in this scenario. Look, I still have Mahrez, and Mahrez has been really good, for me so far. Like, I went against the current there as well with going for Mahrez instead of KDB, and so sometimes these things just pay off, or they don't. So yeah, that's probably going to be my moves, and I've got 2 free transfers, and if I make those transfers, I think that leaves me with something like 2.5 mil in the bank as well, and.
Okay. So you could easily go Bruno to KDB next week if you wanted.
I would have to. I've sort of blocked myself a little bit with Edison. So I've got Edison
Oh,
in
yes,
goal.
of course.
So,
Yeah.
but I actually quite like the idea of having 3 City attackers, just because they are leaking goals at the moment. They've lost Cancelo. I reckon they're going to be a little bit shaky, at the back there. Not sure. Lewis is still fresh, new. Don't know how that's going to be. So I'd be inclined to get rid of. It feels really weird saying that, but getting rid of a double game week player. But I'm going to be doing that with Martial anyway. To just bring in another player, another goalkeeper. I haven't decided. I'll probably just go down to a really low, sort of cheap one. But that means
It's
I
only a
can
-2 in a double game week, right? You know, so it's
well,
fine.
yeah,
It's not a -4, it's fine.
every transfer like I'm taking a hit kind of thing. So I'm like, it
Mhm.
forces me to make a conscious decision about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edison hasn't quite worked out the way I hoped it would work out. And so going 3 city attack would be awesome. So I'm just lining that up, but also I'm tempted to ditch white as well.
Mm,
So I've got a
same.
couple of either way, it looks like I'm banking in a hit for the next game week,
Mm,
or things could change. So I think
yeah.
those moves give me a little bit more funding.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it looks great. I'm jealous of Mahrez. I do wonder what happens when Champions League comes back in. That's the bit that's kind of niggling at me with the whole KDB switch. But then we've seen KDB rested in the Premier League this season, where we maybe haven't done in previous seasons. So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's safe in that Pep team at the moment, to be honest. So it's definitely tough.
And finally, to add, I'll probably triple captain. I think, like Quinton's just asked earlier, asked a question about triple captain on Rashford or worth saving. I think for me, it's probably going to be either this week or next week, and so it's either going to be Haaland or Rashford. And the Rashford sort of form and home fixtures against United just seems like a bit of a it's a great opportunity. I don't know if that's
Mm.
going to come again.
Cool. Okay, I will just end the poll. And Ellie, if you'd like to note that Anthony is the player that the Nympham have chosen to go up against us this week. So they will get their points based on who does well and who doesn't.
I
And
love that. I love that Fred got 27% though.
I know. He was leading at one point. I can't believe that. That's amazing. It'd be hilarious if he ends up like beating Anthony now, won't it? Cool. Okay, so we're moving on to the Q&A, guys. So get those Q&As in the chat. I did see that Beth was in the chat. Welcome, Beth. And I know that you guys had a bit of a chat, but just to put it out there, she said she still has Cancelo and she's considering -4 to move him onto Aki, which will give her pounds to do Almir onto Bruno, but we'll have to do Mitrovic to Nonto. Do you think this is worth the hit? I know, Mira, you said that it looks a good shout. I am a little hesitant. It's not the selling Cancelo thing. Definitely, I think sell Cancelo for a hit. That I am with. Like, it's a double game week. Go mad. But I have Aki in my team, and I'm still unsure whether he really is the. Yeah, because now some people are saying that Pep might go to 3 at the back, which might mean that Aki might now drop back out of that situation. I think the the City defense has just been awful this season. Amira, the fact that you don't have this headache is great, and part of me wants to say to Beth, if you have an opportunity to to stay away from it, because obviously you've got Edson, so he's nailed, right, Mez? So, but I'm just wondering if Beth really needs to kind of get herself into the worry potentially of another City defender, because as much as I'd like to say, yeah, okay, Stones is out, Cancelo's gone, Aki is nailed, I just don't know that that's going to be, knowing Pep, he's got some other wonder kid that's just going to show up out of nowhere that we've never heard of, that he's now going to start playing in one of those spots. So, what are your thoughts on that, Ellie?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I personally like stepped away from the City defense because I just feel like they look a bit leaky at the moment, and they just haven't been keeping the clean sheets that they did last season. So if you don't have a double Newcastle defense, join the train. They have the best defense in the season. I typically hate doubling up on any team just because it's so risky, but really they have the most clean sheets, I think, out of any team. I don't think they've conceded. I think they haven't conceded goals since like November or something like that. Of course, you have the World Cup break in there, but they really have been so
They
strong.
did finally concede in the cup the other day, like
Thank
after
God, thank
many,
God.
many hours of football, they did finally concede.
Thank you for the correction.
It's okay.
And if you're looking at a Chelsea player, just to throw it out, like I think Jehl could be like a pretty crazy differential for 5 million. I think he's pretty tacked on ahead of Koulibaly, but is a little bit of a risk. But if you're looking to get into Chelsea defense, he could be a good option because Reece James and Ben Chilwell are finally back in the team, but we don't know when they're going to be starting, and they're just coming back from injury. So if you're looking to get in Chelsea, I think he could be an interesting option as well.
Yeah, but like just with the caveat on the Newcastle thing, obviously, and I'm sure Beth will know, where they do blank, don't they? So it's this is the problem myself and Mira have, is that we want them, we're just not sure whether to go there or not.
Why I'm hesitant to shift White off at the moment, because I'd love to have 3 Arsenal attack.
Yeah,
but like I don't know who I would shift White to between now and 25. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. We have one here from Geddy who says, who would you start, Kane or Nunes? Nez, I'll throw that to you as the Liverpool fan.
See, I would start Darwin in this scenario, but
who do Liverpool even have this week? That's terrible. I don't even know.
I think they've got Wolves, don't they? Yeah. So yeah, I reckon. I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because Kane just seems to sort of get something, whether it's an assist or a goal, or he's been fairly consistent. Darwin's just at it constantly, so it's sort of like whack-a-mole with him. Like you'll either you kind of hit the spot or you don't. That's it.
And when you do, it's usually at the keeper.
But if it's about numbers, right? Then
eventually
getting a lot of shots.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. I would probably take a punt on Darwin, just because I feel Liverpool's really frustrated at the moment. They're not sort of looking great at the moment. It's not a great situation for them. But I reckon Darwin could come out sort of, craving and sort of nick something against Wolves.
Spurs are at home, right? I think they're at home this week. Which would make... See, I've got this issue because if I do drop Bruno, I'll have a lot of money in the bank, and I will have enough money to make my 5th midfielder into a Matoma or an Odegaard this week, which I'd be sorely tempted by, but then I would have a humongous benching headache, because I'm obviously not going to bench Gnonto since he has the double game week. It's like the prime time to play him, and obviously with Rodrigo out as well, you'd like to think he does get his minutes now. So it would leave me with an epic headache, but there's just the thought of all of those players that I have, the one on paper that you'd look at, you'd say, well, you just bench Kane against City, but given how bad City have been in defence recently, and the fact that Spurs are at home and they have, this new signing in Poro, so that's tough. That is tough. I'd be more inclined to go Kane. Yeah, can you play both and just drop somebody else?
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, BI says take a -12 hit or activate the wild card. No chips available. Martial to Nketiah, KDB to Bruno, and Almiron to Odegaard. What do you think, Ellie?
I wouldn't take a -12 at this point. I think that's a lot. I think like 8 is the max that I'll go if I'm feeling super rogue.
You're feeling a bit batchisel, as we call them around these parts.
Yeah. But a -12, I just feel like I'm hesitant to use the wild card as something that I've thought about, but I just feel like there's still a lot of games to be played, and so I want to hold on to it for a bit. I don't think that you necessarily need to make that Odegaard transfer this week. They have the double coming up next week, so maybe you can hold off on that one on one of those two Arsenal transfers. I think I would prioritize getting somebody in for the double this week, and then you have the Arsenal double next week, so maybe you can take a -4.
Yeah, so right, like what I would say, obviously budget dependent there, is that yes, Everton have been terrible, but I think with their new manager now, it's not going to be a case of go out there, lads, and see how many goals you can score, right? They're going to shut up shop this week and try and keep Arsenal out. That's going to be the main thing this week, is not to concede to Arsenal. So I feel like that could be a tougher game than we're all just assuming it's going to be, because Everton have been so terrible this season. So I don't think you necessarily need both. In fact, I mean, there's even an argument maybe to keep Martial this week and just do KDB De Bruyne. I know Mez is like, oh, because I know she's considering selling him. But he did, he did get some game time and he did score. So, whilst I don't think he'll get a massive amount of minutes over the double game week, there's still potential for him to come on and, and do something. And if it allows you potentially to go into next week with some more transfers, where you could take those hits maybe next week, then I don't hate it. But you could definitely do one of those transfers. I just, like Ellie says, I don't think there's any rush to do the -12 this week, because anything can happen, right? I know it sounds really silly, but anything, and I have to try and remember this as well, because I wanted to go bat shizzle this week, but anything can happen to any one of those City players or any one of those Arsenal players this week, and then you're going to then have to potentially recorrect that for the double next game week. So if you've taken all these hits this week to set yourself up for next week and then something happens, you're then going to have to recorrect it. So I think that Everton match is going to be a little don't get me wrong, I'm still hoping we'll win it, and I'm still hoping we'll get a couple of goals, but I can see it being like a more 1-2 rather than like a 3-4-5 or whatever. So I think you can hold off on that many hits.
I think also worth considering, are you playing for the rank, your overall rank and how you're going, or is it for the mini leagues? And if it's the mini leagues, then what are your other mini league managers doing? And so the -12 might actually be worth it, because that will give you an edge in your mini league. But if this is about your rank, then probably not worth it at all in that case.
Okay, Mo Salah himself has asked, do you think there should be less wildcards? I think one for the whole season would be better. Otherwise, 75% of the teams look similar. Snorri face. What do you think, Ellie?
Well, I think this season, especially, you had the World Cup, so you had that like extra ability to make the unlimited transfers before the deadline kicked in again, so you kind of had an extra one. I like having the two, to be honest, because I always end up using the first one within like the first 4 or 5 weeks. I hate my team and I end up changing it. And then I tried to save the second one, further down into the season. So for me, I like it. I think it makes sense. And a lot of people kind of start with the same team anyways, but then you kind of see how teams differ and the way that people kind of go. So for me, it's no problem.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it'd be very strange. I play Sky, so you only get one overhaul in Sky and you only get 40 transfers for the whole season. So it's, it's a little bit, I guess it would be a little bit more like that. But I very highly doubt that FPL will change their setup now after all of this time, and we've always had 2 wildcards. And I think you'll find now is around the time in these next couple of game weeks where things will start to get different for people, because you will start to see people punting on you know, this week if they can't get to Bruno, they will try go somewhere else for the double game week. You'll have people punting Young Canonto. Some people will keep Martial, some people will sell him if they've had him. Teams are now going to start to get quite mixed up. It'll be whether people get on Arsenal players now early, as what we were saying earlier, or will they wait and have all of the information for next game week and then make their transfers. So teams are now going to start to get very mixed up with all the blanks and doubles and things, and there's always a difference in that second wild card, isn't there, of when people play it.
I also think that it feels like all the teams are similar. So before I joined the world of FPL Twitter, the teams, you know, I would be none the wiser about it. But now that I'm on FPL Twitter, and you know, it feels like everyone's got the same team. But actually, if I look at my mini leagues that I'm not involved with, you know, on FPL Twitter as well, I see the teams being very different to what I've got. And so, you know, I wonder if it's just the perception of, you know, like the where you're looking, you know, where the teams are very similar. But I actually don't mind having the two, you know, the two wild cards, because yeah, it means that you might have 5 or 6 players that are pretty much the same across the board because they're playing well and there's good fixtures coming up. So I think, you know, there's nothing stopping anyone from doing that, and we're naturally going to do that anyway. But it just feels like everyone's got the same team, but actually they don't. If you look outside of the world of, you know, Twitter anyway, that's where I've seen the
just
most
like what we were
difference.
saying earlier with Bruno, right? Him still being under 10% owned, and yet it feels like everywhere you look on Twitter, everyone has Bruno, you know, so yeah. So cool. Okay, I think that feels like a good point to wrap it up. So thank you, Nimfam, for watching. Ellie, please let the lovely people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at ELI_Helenek. And you can also find me on YouTube as well, Elizabeth Helenek. I do a lot of Chelsea, but I'm also doing other Premier League and trying to get back into FPL videos as well on my own channel. So lots on there, and I have an Enzo Fernandez special coming out later today. So if you guys are Chelsea fans or just want to learn about Enzo as an FPL asset, definitely take a look.
That's the one. Cool. And Mira, please tell the Nimfam where they can find you.
You can only find me on Twitter, so I'm
She's
FPL
elusive.
Yes, I have a whole other, you know, persona identity outside of this world. No, you can find me on Twitter. Yeah, FPL Mez 8. Yeah, catch you there.
She's the Batwoman, so yeah. Brilliant. Thanks all for watching, and thank you all for the support in the chat tonight. As always, it'll be very interesting to see how Anthony does up against all of our picks this time next week, and we will be back this time next week, hopefully. So do make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, Nimfria out.